So another way to factor is to use what's called the diamond method. You still want to factor this into two binomials, but one way to factor and figure out what those binomials should be is if you take a look at the last number, remember this is in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. In other words, you're taking a look at c. C is 20 here, so I could put it basically at the top of my diamond. Again, this is referred to as the diamond method. And then what would go at the bottom of the diamond is 9, or always it would be b, because these numbers are going to change from problem to problem. And then I'm looking for two numbers to put into the left and right sides of my diamond that multiply to this top number and then add to the bottom number. And what should always happen is there's only one pair of numbers that both multiply to the top number in my diamond and then add to the bottom number. You just might need to kind of play around, write some numbers down, possibly use your calculator. But the two numbers that multiply to 20 and add to 9 are 5 and 4, or again, 4 and 5. Then those should be the numbers of your binomials. Since it's x squared, you could start building what it will factor into x times x. And then the 5 and 4 are both positive. So it's x plus 5 times x plus 4. So these next examples, I could either just try to factor it, or I could use the diamond method as well. So if I try to use the diamond method on A, here's what I want to do. On top, which should always go there, is C, and then on the bottom is B. It's going to be a little bit different if the leading coefficient is something other than 1. We'll talk about that in our next section, though. But what you go on the top for problem A is 3, on the bottom, -4. So I want to find two numbers that multiply to positive 3 and add to -4. That really should tell you that the two numbers have to be negative. A negative times a negative is a positive, and then a negative plus a negative is a negative. And it can't be two positives. It can't be one positive and one negative. They both have to be negative. 3 is a prime number. The only factors of 3 are 3 and 1. -3 times -1 is positive 3. -3 plus -1 is -4. So A would factor into t minus 1 times t minus 3, or the other way around. Okay, it could be t minus 3 times t minus 1. Be careful about what your variables are. Like sometimes if I give this to a problem to a student, they would write x minus 1 times x minus 3. At least they're getting the right idea, but the variable is t. Okay. And then on B, here's what we can do. If you prefer the diamond method, then what should go on top is 35. What should go on the bottom is 12. I want to find two numbers that multiply to a positive 35, add to a -12. You should kind of be able to figure out that both of the numbers should be negative. And then what multiplies to 35 and adds to -12? There's not too many factors of 35. It's -7 and -5. So x squared minus 12x plus 35 would factor into x minus 7 times x minus 5. Okay. And then lastly, on C, I make a diamond. -30 goes on top, 13 goes on the bottom. Even if you're not making a diamond, you're still finding the factors of this number, -30 here, and then those factors have to add to 13. So if I'm looking for two numbers, only a positive and a negative can multiply to a negative. One has to be positive, one has to be negative, and since they have to add to 13, the larger of the two numbers has to be positive. And the factors that add to 13 and multiply to -30, positive 15, and -2. 15 times -2 is -30. 15 plus -2 is positive 13. So it would factor into y plus 15 times y minus 2. And that's what C would factor into.